The narrative and testimony of Horace Moulton. Mr. Moulton is an esteemed minister of the Methodist Episcopal Church in Marlborough, Massachusetts. He spent 5 years in Georgia between 1817 and 1824. The following communication was recently received from him. Here is a sample. Males and females work together promiscuously on all the plantations. On many plantations, tasks are given. The best working hands can have some leisure time, but the feeble and unskillful ones, together with slender females, have indeed a hard time of it, and are very often to answer for the non-performance of tasks at the whipping post. None who worked for me had tasks at any time. The rule was to work them from sun to sun. But when I was burning brick, they were obliged to take turns and sit up all night, about every other night, and work all day. Food of the slaves. It was a general custom, wherever I had been, for the masters to give each of his slaves, male and female, 1 peck of corn per week for their food. This at about 50 cents per bushel was all that it was worth whenever I was there, but it would amount to 12.5 cents per week for board per head. Houses. The huts of the slaves are mostly of the poorest kind. They are not as good as those temporary shanties which are thrown up beside railroads. They are erected with posts and crotches, but with little or no framework about them. They have no stoves or chimneys. Some of them have something like a fireplace at one end and a board or two off at the side, on the roof to let off the smoke. Others have nothing like a fireplace in them. In these, the fire is sometimes just made right in the middle of the hut. Clothing. The masters in Georgia make a practice of getting 2 suits of clothes for each slave per year, a thick suit for winter and a thin one for summer. They also 1 pair of northern-made shoes for each slave in winter. These shoes usually begin to rip in a few weeks. The Negroes' mode of mending them is to wire them together in many instances. Do our northern shoemakers know that they are augmenting the sufferings of the poor slaves with almost all their goods out on nothing shoes? Punishments. The ordinary punishing of slaves is both cruel and barbarous. The masters seldom, if ever, try to govern their slaves by a moral influence. By whipping, kicking, beating, starving, branding, cat-hauling, loading with irons, imprisoning, or by some other cruel mode of torturing.